Hello mortals, I am the goddess who created the text world of Listernia and have become a booktuber, so it is about time that I did the Booktube Newbie tag. So without much ado, let's get into the questions. Question 1. Why did you start this channel? I may get a lot of hate for this, but I started my channel to help promote my online text game, Listernia. To be brief, I am the creator of Listernia, which is a MUD. And MUDs are the original multi-user games, which are all in text, and you can check it out if you're interested. Anyway, I have been trying to figure out how to promote my game to get new players. And that's when I discovered Booktube. I thought the Booktube audience may be a good fit for our game because you have to enjoy reading to enjoy an online text game. I was considering sponsoring Booktubers to promote Listernia. However, I didn't have really much of a budget for sponsorships because everything comes out of my own pocket. And some booktubers didn't even accept sponsorships, and I'm looking at you, insane reader. The more I was watching booktubers, the more I kept thinking, this looks like fun. This is something I could really get into because I'm a big old book hoe. Also, you may wonder why I'm in drag. Well, actually, I bought a lot of drag stuff to play my alter ego in my game Listernia. I am the supreme goddess in that game, and I had this idea of doing videos for our players in drag as my character, but that didn't go so well, and I ended up having all this drag stuff, and my little mind started thinking I could use this as a persona for my Booktube channel. Since I'm taking on the persona of a goddess in my game, I wanted my channel to be called The Goddess or The Book Goddess, but those names were taken on Twitter. And I thought, hey, I'm just going to be using this channel for Booktube, so let's call myself the Booktube Goddess. The name was open and free, so there you have it. The rest is history. There's one little thing I should mention about my channel, since I'm sure some people are side-eyeing the fact that there's 1,000 subscribers, give or take. Well, this is a recycled and repurposed channel. I created this channel in 2006 and didn't do anything with it until around 2012 when I did vaping videos. So this was a vaping channel at one point, under another name of course. And some of my vaping videos did pretty well. Like a couple got over 100,000 views. And that's where my subscribers came from. And they're probably very confused why a drag queen reviewing books is coming up on their feed. That's the wonder of YouTube. Anyway, the vaping videos are all out of date. Testing equipment and stuff that doesn't even exist anymore. So I decided to retire the channel. By the way, if you don't smoke, don't start vaping. There's no reason to. But if you do smoke, vaping can be a lifesaver. And it's all about harm reduction. No one has ever said that vaping is safe, or no one should say that. But it is less harmful, in my opinion, it is less harmful than smoking. So it's all about harm reduction. And I was a heavy smoker for over 20 years, and this was the only way that got me to quit and to stay quit. And I still vape today, but I also have weaned myself off of nicotine. So when I do vape, it's with just flavored liquid with zero nicotine. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. Good Lord. Okay, this is the first question. I'm going on way too long. So let's move on. Question number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, I don't think there's another drag queen booktuber. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen any as of yet. And I've done drag before in the past. I'm not a RuPaul professional drag queen. But I absolutely love drag, so I'm kind of hoping to find a persona for this Booktube Goddess channel. And I think it may be fun to see how that works out. My idea is that I'll zap a book that I don't recommend, or give a book my blessing if I do recommend the book. Will there be an audience for this? I have no idea. Maybe it's enough watching a man in drag doing book reviews. I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. The other thing, which isn't unique, but rare in Booktube, is that I'm an older reader, and I've been a reader before there was such a thing as young adult or middle grade books. Those are new categories and concepts for me. So I have a different perspective. My brain kind of divides books into two categories: children's books and books, just books. Because those are the only categories that I grew up with. I think it's kind of weird that young adult books just seem to mean the main character is a mid to late teenager, and then there's new adult, which is the main characters in their early 20s, I believe. I mean, will there be a category for middle-aged books for main characters in their 40s or 50s, or senior books for characters who are 65? I mean, I get it. It's partly a marketing ploy, and partly because there is an audience who wants to read about a character that's their age, that they can identify with. I get it, but still, sometimes I just find it quite strange, especially when I read a book and think, this book can appeal to a really wide audience. And I wonder how much this young adult label limits the audience. But everyone loves to label everything, so I'll roll with it. Being of a certain age, and being I've been a voracious reader for such a long time, I've probably forgotten more books than many of you have already read. That sounds crazy, but it's probably true. But that also means I probably know a good number of books which aren't on anyone's radar anymore. And it'd be fun to bring them back. For instance, if you look at my channel, my first book review was of The Forgotten Beasts of Eld, which is published in the 70s. And I reviewed it because I think it should be better known for today's readers. It was the winner of the first World Fantasy Award, and I hope there's other books like that I can bring to my channel. Question number 3. What are you most excited about for this new channel? I'm excited about sharing my thoughts on what it was being a reader before there were ebooks, even though I read ebooks now almost exclusively. When there were bookstores everywhere, what it was like being a science fiction fantasy nerd before it was cool. I'm excited about, as I said before, bringing up books that a few people may be aware of. I'm excited about making friends in the Booktube community and finding new books. I'm always on the hunt for a good read. Question number 4. Why do you love reading? Books are my escape. I did not have a very pleasant childhood, and I'll just leave it at that. Just to say that books were my salvation in many ways. Question number 5. What book or series got you into reading? The series that I have said before that had a huge impact was The Chronicles of Narnia, which is absolutely true. I would obsessively reread that series growing up. And because of Narnia, I have a very soft spot for any books that transport a modern day character to a fantasy realm. Some people call them portal fantasy books. I love Terry Brooks' Magic Kingdom for Sale. I even liked the Thomas Covenant Chronicles when I first read that series, so the main character was a horrible person. And I now realize how problematic he really was, but at the time I enjoyed it, mostly because of the portal aspect. But there is one book that sticks out in my mind that made me think I was a serious reader. I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I read my first adult novel, and I was shocked that I could read a book meant for adults. I felt it was some huge accomplishment in my little child's mind that I somehow punched my way into the adult world. And the novel was a Mrs. Pollifax paperback mystery that my parents had. I remember it looked like it could have been a children's book. It had a colorful cover with a wacky old lady on the front and a man who I thought looked a little bit like Roddy McDowall. And I probably had a little crush on the character or the image of the character on the cover without really realizing it at the time. And I'll try to find the cover and put it up. But Mrs. Pollifax was definitely a turning point in how I saw myself as a reader. 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I'd probably ask them how they got started, what pitfalls a new booktuber should watch out for, how not to get frustrated and give up when no one watches your videos, how to use Twitter. I have no idea how to use Twitter. Oh, this may sound snarky, but I'd like to ask some of them why they don't list the books they talk about in their description. If there's some TBR or list of books and I'm watching it and there's a book that might interest me, by the end of the video, I'll forget the name of the book or the author, whatever. And so I'll check the description, and it's frustrating when there's not a list of books to read about. And I have to click through the video to find the book. Number 7, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? The big challenge for me is to keep posting consistently even when there's no positive reinforcement in terms of views or comments or whatever. Also, I'm a little scared about how hard it will be to grow an audience. I've heard that Twitter is a good way to become part of the community, but I've never really been able to get into Twitter. I think I have like 3 followers on Twitter right now. I went ahead and I followed a lot of booktubers, but I feel awkward commenting on their posts, especially if it has nothing to do with books and I don't know what to say. I mean, I'll figure it out, I guess, but Twitter makes me a little nervous. If you have suggestions on how to use Twitter, let me know in the comments or send me a DM, whatever. I'm also a little hesitant because most booktubers are a lot younger than me, which I assume translates to booktube viewers. It makes sense because people want to watch videos of people around their same age or just maybe above their age range. So is there an audience for me? I hope so, since books are ageless, but I think it'd be hiding your head in the sand not to notice that popular YouTubers are some combination of young, attractive, and funny. And I'm not any of those, so we'll see. Question 8. When did you start reading? This is a silly question. I'll go back to Mrs. Pollifax when I read that novel and say around 8 or 9 years old when I considered myself a serious reader of novels. For 9, where do you read? I don't have a car, so I take a lot of public transportation to get to work and travel around. And I am always reading on trains and missing my stop because I have my nose buried in my Kindle. I also take a fair amount of Ubers and get mildly annoyed when the driver wants to chat and talk, and I prefer just to read my book on the ride. But I do talk to the driver because I don't want to be rude or anything. Question number 10. What kind of books do you like to read? I mostly stick to fantasy and science fiction, but I also read horror, and sometimes I'll pick up an Ann Tyler novel or some book that gets a lot of hype, like Olive Kitteridge. Once in a while, I'll read something nonfiction or out of my literary comfort zone, but 99% of the times it's speculative fiction, i.e. fantasy, science fiction, and horror. I read middle grade, young adult. I read pretty widely in any age genre. If any of this sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to my channel, and I'd love to hear your comments and advice you may have to help me make the most of my channel. Thank you, and may all the books you read be blessed.